Okay. So you follow over?
If I fall over, I'll run out the door.
So it's just something later.
And this, we have an town this
She's sitting right over there.
She was leaving.
Yeah.
Hi, Kelly.
She's
She didn't know either?
See, it wasn't just me.
She left us to go to the county, to be a county
Right.
historian.
I thought this was, oh, she's not gonna vote.
We must have
I
all
heard
misunderstood.
Dr. Rachel.
We must have all misunderstood.
We did talk about it.
Yep.
I know.
She left us to be
I
there.
don't remember talking about it.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
I couldn't talk her into staying.
All right.
Doing
Yeah.
both, I tried.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, I've got 6 o'clock. We will call to order the public hearing for the Water District 9.
Want me to do roll call?
Yeah, we can do roll call. Sorry.
Councilmember Curcio,
Here.
Councilmember Prosser,
Here.
Councilmember Sabrina,
Here.
Councilmember Wilbur,
Here.
Supervisor Bryant.
Here. So we're doing a public hearing tonight for some adjustments on the Water District 9. I'm gonna have, before I open the floor, Ian is here from C2AE. He's gonna give a brief description of what this is about.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, good evening, everybody. It's probably been a while. I'm filling in for Jay today. I'm sure you're used to seeing a much taller, skinnier guy. I'm a little wider and shorter, but yeah, I'd just like to give a brief overview to you folks of where the project started and where we're at today, and hopefully that'll answer a lot of questions that you folks have. So I stood in this room a number of years ago and gave the presentation at the public hearing prior to the vote for this project. And I'm just going to throw some numbers out there. So at that time, the overall project budget was $3,240,000. Okay, that's what was presented to the public, and that's ultimately what was voted on. The vote passed, as everybody's aware. We designed the project. We put the project out to bid. We got the bids in from the contractors. The low bid for the project was substantially higher than the project budget. Right, you folks may or may not know that, but we were dealing with a pandemic. This was prior to the war, so ultimately the bids came in much higher than what the project budget was. So we knew we needed to secure additional funding for the project, right? So we worked with the town at that time to increase their bond resolution in order to secure additional funding for the project. So we were ultimately able to secure $925,000 in additional grant money through the state, through the Environmental Facilities Corporation for this project, and that allowed us to go to construction. Okay, so we're now at the tail end of construction. We're wrapping things up, pipes in the ground, and turns out, as we've gone through the project, there have been more additional costs that have been incurred through the construction of the project. Most notably, the net interest on the short-term financing that the town was required to take out in order to pay for the project. There have been other additional costs, attorney's fees, engineering fees, as well as a number of other things that have resulted in the project cost to be higher than what it was at the time of bid. So the purpose of the public hearing tonight is to adopt another bond resolution in order for the town to secure more additional funds for the project. So the good news is that USDA Rural Development, who provided the original funding offer for this project, has obligated an additional $388,000 in grant money towards the project, okay? And that amount of money is gonna be more than enough to cover the overages that occurred during construction. So in order to be able to secure that money, the town has to adopt an updated bond resolution. That's a requirement of the funding agency. It's municipal law. You know, whenever you're gonna increase the cost of a project, you're required to adopt an updated bond resolution. So again, just to be very clear, we went from $3,240,000 to now the estimated project budget is $4,465,000. So that's a difference of $1.25 million that the cost of the project has changed. The town has been able to secure over $1.3 million in grant money to cover that overage. So what that means is there is no additional cost to the end user above what was presented at the public hearing a number of years ago when I stood up here and presented numbers to you in relation to the debt service for this project. Just real quick, I'd just like to say we do a lot of these projects in the area. I had 2 other clients in Oswego County who went through a similar situation where they bid, the projects came in high, and unfortunately those communities sought additional funds, but were not able to cover the total project cost with grants. So kudos to the town. You know, we worked very hard, you know, in collaboration with the town, you know, to secure those additional grant funds to make sure that those costs, you know, to the taxpayers and the property owners remain the same as what was presented at the public hearing. So that's all I got.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Plenty?
Okay, good.
Plenty, I guess.
I hope so.
Okay, before we open the floor, I have something I'll read here. Public hearings are not a debate, they are not a question and answer session. They are certainly not a town hall type meeting like you see on TV. I will give a description, Ian actually has, of the purpose of this public hearing. After I will open the floor to the public, each person that is signed in will be allowed to speak for 3 minutes. No questions will be answered by myself or any other person, as your time belongs to you and it will not be infringed upon. Please be respectful when someone has the floor. If you speak when you haven't been recognized as having the floor, then you are out of order. Verbal interruption, shouting, or other outbursts, as well as slanderous or obscene language or signs and movement are prohibited. Any person engaging in such conduct will be warned, and if it continues, will be removed. Speakers must remain on topic with the public hearing agenda item only. Okay. Diamond? Okay. First person, Donna Ingersoll.
I'll waive that right now.
All set? Okay. Mark Williams.
How can we be assured that in 6 months, the town won't request another serial bond for this capital project or increase the total cost of the project again? When is it projected that the project will be completed before the town has to start paying back the serial bonds? And please add these questions to the town record for this public hearing.
So I'm gonna sway away from what I just read here a little bit. Ian, if you wanna answer anybody's questions tonight,
Yeah,
I'm gonna allow it.
I'm more
Cause I
than,
want a good, clear communication
yeah,
on this.
I'm more than happy. So I'm sorry, could you repeat it? Could you repeat your first question, please?
How can we be assured that in 6 months, the town won't request another serial bond for this capital project?
So I'm gonna answer your last question first. So we're about 98% complete with this project. We've got a very good idea of where this project's gonna land as far as the budget goes. I can tell you that the grant monies that are being obligated by USDA are more than enough to cover the overages that I mentioned before. So we are very confident that this is gonna be it. We've got enough money to close the project out. As far as when payback starts, I mean, I think you guys have they been billed yet?
Yes.
Yes, so you guys have already started paying, right? So you've already started paying back the bonds for this project.
that all you got, Mark?
Yes,
Okay. Linda Williams?
Okay, you may get some repeat questions too. What percentage of the project is completed? According to the water update, the restoration has been completed. So why is the town asking for more money for this project if the town already received the balance of the WIA grant to help pay off the remainder of the construction contract? And how much more is left to pay? There are no Form E to show everything that has been charged to the town or. And when was the board aware of the shortfall in revenue that prompted this increase to the project and subsequently a serial bond amount increase? In September 2022, there was also an increase of $150,000. So in less than a year, the town is asking for an additional $445,898 for Water District 9. And if you could add these to the record, I will give these to.
If you could submit them to me so I can have exactly what your questions are.
What's that? I'm sorry.
If you could submit them to me so I can have exactly what your
Oh,
questions
I
are.
thought we had given to her to give to you.
That's
So,
fine.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think I went over most of that. You know, again, we're 98% complete. All these funds are grant funds. We've got more than enough to cover the project costs. There's not gonna be an increase, you know, in debt service to the end user. You know, we've, again, worked very hard to get to this point, to get this pipe in the ground. I mean, it was a lot of legwork, a lot of time spent on, you know, coordinating with these funding agencies and you know, securing an additional $1.3 million. I mean, that's quite a feat. Like I can say, this is one of the communities that we work for that's been lucky enough to be able to do that, to cover the project overages between a pandemic and a war that broke out. So.
You all set, Linda?
Well, how much is the EDU gonna be per?
Oh, whatever, again,
It's
the
already
debt,
set.
the debt service is whatever you're
It's
currently
already
paying.
set for 722, I think.
I think it was
It
722. So
didn't
that's,
change.
just so we're clear for everybody, that's not changing.
That's correct, the debt service cost is not changing at all.
Okay, cause I saw 900 something somewhere, but maybe that was.
Well, that
previous.
probably included water usage would be my guess.
Thank you.
All set? Okay. Next is Linda Bond Clark.
The Water District 9 came to vote on August 22, 19. The supervisor signed a contract with C2AE in March of 19, and a resolution was passed by the town for our refunding. Before the public hearing, before the public vote, a public hearing was on schedule for May, and then had to be rescheduled for June because it was promised with notification. This was just a prelude of the current fiasco, financial crisis. The original cost, you know, a little less than 4.3 million was $722 per EDU, and now that it's almost, you know, 4.5 million, who knows what the EDU will be. This is a whopping 38% increase over the original cost. The Water District 5 represents 5 years of boondoggling. A review of the published documents that are on the website indicate many gaps in vouchers, inconsistencies in superintendent reporting, questionable sources of funding, lack of documentation, and incredible fee raises in contractual fees. This is a fully loaded runaway freight train with a supervisor and the town board at the helm, blindly driving a train from station to station, just filling obligatory boxcars. In 18, you know, hindsight's 2020, and C2AE came before this board and specifically stated it would be challenging to finance, and that this water district has the potential to exceed the comptroller's threshold. And the town was informed again and again of this problem with exceeding it. At the April meeting, I requested an independent study to review the hardship that the citizens of this area might have. Nevertheless, New Haven went ahead with the seeker. The seeker requires equal consideration to environmental protection, human community resources, and economic factors. The town is accountable and responsible for the review of all economic factors associated with this water district. A review of document raises questions about expenditure. Vouchers 1 and 2 were not available, 3 was $5,000. Where did this revenue come from? And who was it used for? By the end of 2018, C2AE had finished the water area, completed seeker, finished primary engineering and environmental reports, received agency comments, and by November, they noted that the town had obtained the funding from rural development. So how much was all this cost, or was C2AE just given carte blanche to the spending? So then in 19, C2AE reported due to government delays, there was a problem with it, and then, in March, the board gave, C2AE, $10,000 due in 30 days. However, it wasn't paid until October, 6 months late. How is this not a red flag that there was problems with the finances of this water district? There again, where did this money come from? The town created a water district, hired an engineer to create maps, plans, and reports, applied for funding before the vote. From October to December, C2AE requested the submission for the comptroller's application, yet C2AE had already checked this item list back off in 2018. C2AE attended almost all the monthly meetings, however the progress reports were often not available or attached to the monthly meeting. Supervisors' reports were rarely documented, and vouchers 1, 2, 4, 5, 8, 14, 15, and 17 are missing from 2019. The public has no idea what these expenditures were used for. 2020, C2AE informs the town that the construction may begin next year, and then the town shuts down for April and May. In August, the attorney for the town doesn't seek reappointment, but continues legal advice and raises the fee from 20 to 28, $750. That indicates a 43% increase. Later, C2AE gives the board, Form E to estimate the expenditures, but it's not found on the website. 21, the town approves an increase in the boring from 5,000 to 7,467, representing a 50% increase. C2AE informs the town of the bid. C2AE asks for an additional $779,102 in serial bonds for the cost of the district, raising it by 24% from the original cost. And this is when we were told the EDUs were going to cost $840. In 2020, the C2AE secures a WIA grant of $925, or there's questions of that, was it less? Wetlands permits are granted, and then the contract for the pipe asks for an additional $124,450, which is a 4.6 increase above the prior year. C2AE warns the town that the anticipation note is due, and usually this is paid off, and the construction is all done by this point. Construction at this point is 30% done, and the water mains are 50% done. The town sought a fiscal advisor and took out another $150,000 bond. That was a 27% increase. And then in 23, in the supervisor's report, it's noted a $595,425 red flag deficit. Is this when the town knew they needed another serial bond? By February, the main lines and service are completed, and then the town approves a budget bond interest rate moving from $11,375 to $18,672, which is a 65% increase. By April, the DOH has approved everything, and in May, the REO funds pay off the band. Now we want the USDA close date. What is the total financial cost of this district? When will we finish this short-term trajectory of supplying millions to those who are requiring a gilded age while others are tied to their iron tracks of long-term abject poverty? And what guarantee is there that there will not be millions more requested? And I would like this submitted. By the way, I didn't read it all.
Bill, done, Linda?
I am, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for coming tonight. Your input is always greatly appreciated. You ran a little over, but, I let it go, cause it
Thank
was,
you for allowing me.
yeah, it really needed to be said. Ian, do you have anything that you want to address with Linda?
Nope.
I think you pretty much covered everything that she went into, right?
I agree. Yep.
Except for the runaway train, the town board, runaway train, okay. Last, I'm sorry, we got Fred and Kathy, Cooper.
Thanks for allowing us to speak and for your presentation and also for your information. Just to be clear, we are not, as taxpayers, going to be responsible for any increases in our taxes for this.
That's correct.
Okay, so just to be clear for everybody, we will not be paying additional taxes.
The EDU is not gonna change.
That's correct,
We
yeah.
we discussed that, but I'll say it again.
Okay, because in section 6, and forgive me if I'm reading this wrong, at the very bottom of section 6, any bond application notes issued in anticipation of the bonds, as the same becomes due and payable, but if not paid from such source, all the taxable real property in the town shall be subject to the levy of an ad valorem taxes, which means taxes due. There's definitions in Forbes all about that, I'll attach it with this. Taxes without limitation to a rate or amount sufficient to pay the principal and any interest on such obligations. So, maybe the wording should be changed, or maybe I'm reading it wrong, but from what I gather, it says we could be liable as real estate owners to pay an obligation of some of these taxes or some of these bond issues. So I guess that needs to be cleared up. And if I'm reading it wrong, please tell me. I'm a big guy, I can take care of things, but.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that language was prepared by the town's bond council. I'm no attorney. My understanding of that is, if the town doesn't collect the money and doesn't pay the bill, it's gotta get paid somehow, so, other than that, I mean, I don't know, Leslie or Rebecca, you wanna speak to it?
It's for the grant money, so if the grant isn't there, but that's not, is he are you questioning the short-term financing?
Any financing whatsoever. If there are additional fees to be charged, and if it's not covered by bonds or secured by additional bonds, will the taxpayers have to pick this up?
Yes.
I know a bunch of us are on fixed incomes, and we do worry about every nickel and dime, so.
Yeah, I understand. Honestly, I can't answer that question.
Well, it's a gray area is what I'm bringing up, so we need to clarify that.
That's what I'm saying, so basically with us receiving the grant money that we have received, that covers the additional cost that it would have cost us as a town or taxpayers. So because we've already received that grant, that extra money that had to be spent is spent with that grant, not us. So it covers that liability. So that's in there in case we didn't get the grant. That probably would have happened, but because we got the grant, it did not happen.
Okay, and taking care of bonds too and everything else,
Yes.
right? So she said the grants only cover the overages?
Everything originally stays. Everything that was originally there, like you had said, the initial payment, yearly, all that stays. Nothing goes up because we received grant money to cover that cost that wasn't seen to begin with.
Okay. Is there any additional, could there be any additional charges at this point? Any increases?
I mean, if the project budget goes above and beyond what is presented now, then obviously the town's gonna have to hold another public hearing. As I mentioned before, we're very confident that there's enough grant money that's been allocated to the town to cover the current project costs.
Okay, because what I was seeing is, in part of the town, meeting addendum for today, or there was gonna be, $4,169, $102, and then it went up to 448565.
Yep.
Which is an increase of $295,898 increase over, the original projected estimated cost. So I just.
My numbers don't match that. The original was $3,240,000, current is $4,465,000, which is a little less than $1.25 million additional.
Okay, well, there is some differences going on. I just wanna make sure that, we're not, if there is something that's gonna be handed down to the taxpayers, that we are aware of that, and that we can also have a meeting about that, and be able to discuss this, and not just say, guess what, here's your new tax bill, and it's to cover the water. We all hate surprises.
Right, we actually addressed that before you.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, the EBU is not gonna change, right? So,
Alright, would you like this, I've highlighted a couple things, or?
what is that, what are you referencing there, Fred? Is that something?
I got it off the town board, site.
Is
And
that what's here tonight?
It's in your board.
Yeah,
file.
it's in your
How
board.
come-
I'm assuming
Those
it's the bond
numbers,
resolution.
how come those numbers aren't lining up with what you got, Ian?
I have no idea.
this is to be
I'm
held,
confident my numbers are
this is
correct.
for the town board meeting on August 15th, 2023. It's off the town board.
Oh,
Bond resolution dated August 15th, 2023.
right, for $4,465,000.
Yeah.
Correct, yep.
Yeah.
So it's, I'm referring to section 6 of that.
Oh, yeah, that,
And at the very bottom, I have highlighted where it starts, any bond anticipation notes. I'd be glad to give this to you. I mean, I got it at home.
I think we got it right here.
Yeah, we do.
I got the same thing you got.
Okay.
Okay. Is that all you got, Fred?
Yeah, if you want anything, I can give to you. If not, then we're good.
You signed in, both of you. Is your wife gonna speak?
I'm gonna defer.
All set? Okay.
She gives me her minutes because I'm long-winded.
Yeah, that's okay. It's good to be long-winded on something like this, cause we need to know all the facts. Don't wanna have anybody leaving here tonight wondering what happened. Ian, you got anything more for Fred?
I do not.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Last is, Janie.
Yeah, so as it's abundantly clear this evening, people are not clear and consistent with the information that's being put out there. Couple questions that I can submit later. The 925, is that the WIA grant? What was the other grant, the title of it? You talk about loan, attorney fees, engineering fees. Where are the documents to support that? I think that's very helpful. A public hearing without the documents to be discussed limits the public's ability to provide informed input and can potentially lead to confusion or misunderstandings. It is very important to ensure that all relevant materials are timely provided to facilitate meaningful discussions and feedback during the public hearing, which is the only opportunity for the residents of this town to provide any feedback to anybody. Emails are not responded to, let alone timely. It is critical and crucial to provide relevant information to ensure transparency and informed participation. This allows for people to contribute based on.
We're not here talking about emails. I'm cutting you right there. You're done.
Excuse me.
You're
I
done.
was not done speaking, sir.
You're done. We're not here
No,
talking
I'm
about
not done
emails.
finished.
So, okay.
And I will finish. So this will allow for people to contribute based off of the facts that are provided. Documents to be discussed are to be provided for a public hearing. People here tonight have requested these documents. They should have been provided prior to the meeting, and at the very
All
least
documents have
during
been
the
provided. You are done. Now. Damn made in China thing. Okay. We're moving on. Ian, do you have anything else?
No, I'm all set.
Okay.
You're done?
Okay, we will, does any of the board members have anything on the, public hearing? No? Okay. Mary, Brett?
I make a motion that we close the public hearing,
I'll second it.
assuming everybody else has spoken.
Garcia,
Aye.
Rossman, Serena,
Aye.
Wilbur,
Aye.
Barney.
Aye. Okay, at this time, we will, call to order the regular regularly scheduled August town board meeting. Roll call.
Councilmember Frischman.
Here.
Councilmember Foster. Here. Councilmember Moreno.
Here.
Councilmember Wilbur.
Here.
Supervisor Bonnie.
Here. Yeah. Pledge.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If anybody would like a bottle of water, there's some in the cooler here. Please help yourself to a writing tablet and a pen or pencil if you need it. We've all had a chance to review the minutes from last month. Does anybody have anything on the minutes?
I make a motion that we accept the minutes for the July meeting as presented.
I'll second.
Frischman.
Aye.
Foster. Moreno.
Aye.
Wilbur.
Aye.
Bonnie.
Aye. The adjustment of journal entries, we've all reviewed them. Does anybody have anything on them?
I'll make a motion to accept the journal entries.
I'll second.
Frischman.
Sorry.
Aye.
Foster. Moreno.
Aye.
Wilbur.
Aye.
Bonnie.
Aye. Audit of town bills. We've all reviewed them. Does anybody have anything on them?
Make a motion.
I'll second it.
Frischman.
Aye.
Foster. Moreno.
Aye.
Wilbur.
Aye.
Bonnie.
Aye. Old business. Planning board member, you guys interviewed, Alan Chase. And, Fred, you guys were pretty happy with him, right?
Yeah, he's got a background in business, he's been in the fire department, he will be an alternate, okay? He also has a business that is, in several states. And we did specifically query him if he would be able to provide the time that the county planning board might require, and he indicated that he felt he could. Other than that, he was also the only person that had responded, and we do need to have an alternate.
Yep. Okay. Does anybody have anything on Mr. Chase being an alternate?
I'm good.
We have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept him as an alternate.
I'll second it.
Frischman.
Aye.
Foster. Moreno.
Aye.
Wilbur.
Aye.
Bonnie.
Universal solar permit fee. We finally got some information back from Mr. Marston. Mary, you got anything you wanna
No, just,
say on this? I mean,
I just think we need to talk about if you want a flat fee, and I had a question, like, I don't know if this is a Leslie question. Do we decide the application fee, or does the planning board decide that?
The town board sets the fee.
Okay, so we have to, decide on the site plan of fee and then the fee,
For the permit.
okay. So I'm fine with, I think it would be easier to have a flat fee for, not for, for residential.
For the residential.
Yeah, for residential, not obviously for solar farms and things like that. And, Sandy Creek, has a lower, fee for their site plan, and Richland has a higher one. I don't know if we could meet in the middle kind of thing, but,
yeah, there's quite a variation.
Ron explained to me the 250 site plan fee.
Yep.
That's for solar farms. It's a flat fee of $50 for residential for Richland and Sandy Creek.
oh, okay, I thought it was Okay,
Yeah,
I was trying to squeeze it in there, cause he
Yeah,
filled it out
alright.
and then he gave
I
me more
misread it.
information
Yeah,
afterwards.
so
Okay.
it's residential, and
So
then-
the 1,050 site plan application
is
is
for a solar farm,
solar farm,
okay,
or the 250. And then the $500 per megawatt is for the solar farm for either town.
and then the residential is
It's
$50
a flat $50 fee no matter what.
for, they don't have to come up with a site plan if it's residential? Okay, so it's just $50.
I understand, our neighbor to the west, okay, had a rather large, fee for a solar farm.
Describe it, yes.
For farms or for residential?
Farm, solar farm.
I think it was implemented after they, from what I'm told,
But it's a significant, amount of money. And I don't know, okay, exactly how much impact it would have for the town. I know that, the highway department could have some involvement, okay, on a demand on town road, okay. There's also, the potential for, a lot of visitations by, the town during construction, while it is in operation, and more importantly, at the end of life. There's a significant undertaking, okay, for the, deactivation and clearing and restoration of the land. Those costs can be significant.
Plus there's
yeah, but
work
that's
on,
gonna be covered through the bond. Like, you know,
But it would still be.
decommissioning bond, that shouldn't be, I don't wanna cross the lines with that in our,
but we would wanna think about the work the planning board would have to do right in that fee that we wanna,
for sure.
yeah,
For
cause
sure.
that's gonna be a lot of work if you get a big solar.
I just don't wanna blur the lines with,
Sure.
with the two, cause they're two totally separate. I mean, it's a good point, Fred, but it's, you know, I mean, what are you thinking, that this isn't enough? Is that what you're thinking, this isn't enough money?
Well, okay, and I don't have firsthand knowledge of the amount other than what I have heard that Scriba was charging for a farm, but a very large number compared to what this would bring.
Is there a way we could do the residential tonight and set that? Because I think that's where most of it's going to go to start with, right? And then do a little more research.
Well, I think both of them have to be set in order to move forward.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I don't wanna rush anything, but in order to move forward to look at the grant, you need to set both rates. But we can just set the residential rate
Each
and then,
solar farm's gonna vary too, if it's $500 per megawatt, depending on how many megawatts.
correct,
It could vary.
but you need a site plan fee and the megawatt
Right, right.
charge, so
Yeah.
if you want me to do a little more research, I'm
Do
happy
you wanna
to do that.
table the commercial part of it
Yeah.
until we can get the numbers from Scriba to see what they did?
Sure, I'll talk to them,
You wanna pass the residential part of it
Yeah.
tonight? And
that'll help her, cause her and I can at least start the ball rolling about the grant,
is that what you all wanna do?
Yeah.
I'm fine with it.
From what I've heard from a couple people at work, Scriba did what they did to try to actually deter
That makes sense.
solar farms from coming in, you know. Whether that's right or
Didn't work.
wrong, I don't know, but,
Right.
they do have a pretty significant flat rate fee, I guess, from what I'm told. Do you know anything about it, Leslie, or?
I was just trying to pull it up, so I pulled up the fees and the codes from their website, but then for the solar says, it says, see planning department. Did you find the same thing?
I did,
And then you go to the planning and there's nothing pulls up when you,
and their solar local law is not on their website.
it's not on their website, yeah, I've tried to find that too, it's not there. It says like proposed development form for applications. It says proposed development fee schedule, but if you click on it, nothing.
Yeah, cause I've been on their website and I've been able to find stuff.
No, it's not, anyway, so I think if you call over there, I'm sure they can provide the information.
Or
It's not
Tracy.
easily accessible, leave it at
Tracy
that.
can let us know.
Cause they have a couple of solar farms in Stryver right now in some stage, and in fact, there's another one that looks like going in on Kosher Road.
Yeah, it's Crow's old property,
You know.
still his property.
So, what do you want, you wanna have a motion to approve the residential
Mm-hmm.
portion of this, fee schedule,
Yep.
and then table the commercial?
Yeah, and I'll talk to Amanda too about, she knows about those rates across the state. how
Or do you wanna
they
just
work.
table the whole thing until next month so we don't have to?
Whatever is easier.
It doesn't really.
What's easier?
You can't you can't
Right.
complete it until they're both done, so it really doesn't make a difference.
Why don't we just table it until next month?
Okay. I'll talk to Amanda and see what kind of rates they have across the state.
Okay. New business, water, update. We'll kinda do a couple things in parallel here, Ian,
Okay,
with, your water update, and we're gonna do the bond resolutions at the same time.
okay, alright. So you want me to?
Go through your water update.
Okay, alright, yeah, sounds good. So update for water service area 9, restoration has been completed. We're proposing to hold 1% of the retainage back, moving it to a punch list to ensure grass growth and that closing paperwork is received. As a reminder, we've been informed that the punch list has been completed except for some meter pit risers that have a long material lead time. We are working to verify all our punch list items have been completed. The town received the balance of the $925,000 WIA grant that was applied to assist in funding for the project. These funds have helped pay the remainder of the construction contract. We met with the USDA Rural Development in an effort to utilize the $388,000 cost overrun grant funds that the project received. These grant dollars will help get us through the end of the project, specifically the net interest that is accrued through the extended short-term financing of the project. We C2AE are also over budget and will most likely request an amendment to our contract in the coming months. The additional grant funds, which do not affect the end user cost, illustrate an increase in the total project cost so that the bond resolution should be increased. Bond Shannon King, your bond counsel, has prepared the necessary paperwork for this process as you held the public hearing this evening. With this process happening, it was necessary to renew the short-term ban to a callable note to get us through what is expected to be a closing with USDA towards the end of summer, early fall. We await a specific closing date from USDA Rural Development. And that is all.
That's it?
That's it.
Well, nice job on getting us all the grants.
So, thank you.
Yeah.
Nice job. Thank you.
So, thanks Ian for that. So next we have the resolution approving the acquisition, construction, installation of water supply and distribution system for the Town of New Haven Water Service Area number 9 at a revised maximum estimated cost of $4,465,000. Do we have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Tertia, Crosser, Spurino,
Aye.
Wilbur,
Aye.
Barney.
Aye. Next is the bond resolution. The bond resolution of the Town of New Haven, Oswego County, New York, authorizing the issuance of an additional $295,898 serial bonds to finance the cost of the acquisition, construction, and installation of a water supply and distribution system for water service area number 9. Do we have a motion for that?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Tertia,
Aye.
Crosser, Spurino,
Aye.
Wilbur,
Aye.
Barney.
Aye. Resolution number 5 of 2023. Whereas during the preliminary planning phases of Water District 9 project, it became necessary for the general fund to cover bills associated with said project. Whereas in July of 2022, the Water District 9 project paid for a bill from C2AE Engineers in the amount of $1,000 that was not affiliated with the project and should have been paid from general fund. whereas it is necessary for the general fund to reimburse the water district project the $1,000. Whereas the 2023 budget did not have engineer appropriations expected for 2023, therefore none were budgeted. Whereas the contingent account line has enough balance to cover the deficit, now therefore be it resolved that the 2023 budget be amended with the following budget modification made to accommodate aforementioned. On the A line, engineer, A 144.0, increase $1,000, A 199.0.4, contingent decrease by $1,000. New budget, $38,771. We have a motion.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Herschel,
Aye.
Prosser,
Aye.
Spurino,
Aye.
Wilbur,
Aye.
Brian.
Aye. Next up is resolution 6, budget modification. Whereas budget modifications are required when expenses exceed budgeted appropriated accounts and are a part of the normal budget process. And whereas budget modifications become necessary, and whereas unexpected bank fees due to Water District 9 project being extended have been accumulated. Whereas with the extension of the project, the full principal payment will not be due. Now therefore be it resolved that upon majority vote of the Board of the Town of New Haven, the town bookkeeper is hereby authorized to make the following 2023 budget modifications. SW 9-1375.4 bank fees, $25 increase. SW 9-9710.6 debt service principal, $25 decrease. Do we have a motion for this budget mod?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Herschel,
Aye.
Prosser,
Aye.
Spurino,
Aye.
Wilbur,
Aye.
Brian.
Aye. Next up, we have the, local law 3.
So this is, a draft that was sent to the DEC. They have not sent approval or comments yet. They haven't responded back. I had to change I didn't change anything from their model law with the exception of the appeals section. Since the town of New Haven doesn't have zoning, we don't have a ZBA.
Right.
And would normally handle, zoning board of appeals would normally be the one to handle this, so, I had to change that section, and I spoke to the, woman, I don't remember her name offhand, at DEC, who's, in charge of approval. She's not an attorney, so I don't know that she fully understood my questions, so, we'll see what they come back with, but
So I got an email, what's the deadline on this?
so the
It's coming
deadline's
up, right?
August 18th, it's already been submitted for their review. The deadline to be submitted for review is August 18th. I submitted it last week for their review, so that part is complete. The approval, the local law has to be approved, I believe it's October 16th.
It was something like that, yeah, it was October.
I know it's October, but it's before your October meeting.
Okay,
So my suggestion, is to set the public hearing for September, pending approval from the DEC of what the local law is. If we don't get approval by the September meeting, well, I would say, with enough time for the notices to send out, then we'll have to reschedule it. Either you have to do a special meeting, in October, unfortunately. So hopefully, I'll send a follow-up email, and include the new town attorney, so.
okay. So, do we wanna set that public hearing right now? We do, right?
I think you should, contingent, subject to, approval from the DEC, so, that's the only concern I have about is the appeals section, because, I had to change it, because we don't have this yet.
So our September meeting is on the 19th. We have it before, are you gonna be here or when? You never did say, are you done at the beginning or the end of September?
I did say that
You won't
September
be.
first.
Okay.
It's okay.
Um,
As long as everybody else is there.
So we'll have to be looking at your schedule too, when you're available. When's everybody available for September?
Can we do the 19th?
So you can do the 19th, that's fine.
Wanna do it
So-
on the-
That's our board
that's what I'm
meeting.
saying, that I would set it right now for the regular scheduled September board
Okay.
meeting. If for
Let's
some
do that.
reason you don't have approval, for the September board meeting, then you'll have to have a special meeting.
Okay.
What's their deadline to have it approved by?
So October, I believe it's
October
October 16th, I could be wrong, I just know it's before the October meeting, so that,
October
they don't-
16th is the Monday before our meeting.
I think that's what it is.
There was 2 dates. I think it had to be like submitted or
So
something.
it has to be passed by October and then filed with the department,
By November something.
But November something with, yeah, department.
And what if they don't do their part when they're supposed to? How does that work?
Well, that's the problem, so we've done our part thus far, I will follow up and include the new,
Okay.
attorney, so that, everybody's part of the conversation.
So doesn't this like even impact people in our town from being able to obtain flood insurance if it's not?
Correct, so
Right.
that
So
this
it's a
is
big
very
deal.
important, it's a big deal,
It's a big
yes,
deal, okay.
and so, yes, it's, we have, thus far, we have already completed our portion for submitting it for review, so the deadline is the 18th.
Yeah, it's-
Sorry, but that's-
It's not just a big deal for people that live down on the lake and have camps there. We've had 2 record rainfalls in the last month and a half, so that's kind of an important thing. Okay, so we'll schedule that public hearing for, before our September, regularly scheduled board meeting. Okay.
How,
What time do you want it to start?
Let's have it at 6. We'll start the meeting right afterwards. Next up, our town attorney. So we have Leslie leaving us in September, and we have Rebecca, who's come forward. We have not had anyone else, right, that has shown an interest. So, I spoke with Rebecca before the meeting, and she's willing to represent our town. I would like to see us hire her as our town attorney. She's got quite a resume. Do you wanna say anything, Rebecca?
I guess I can. I'm Rebecca Prosachik, for those of you that don't know me. I have my own law office and practice in Oswego. I, prior to the pandemic, represented other municipalities. I also do real estate law, so you can imagine what my schedule was like the past few years. But my predecessor, the firm that I worked for before I took over that firm, represented a number of municipalities in Oswego County as well. So I have experience in all areas of municipal law and look forward to working with you.
Does any of the board have any questions for Rebecca? No.
you want a motion tonight?
Sure.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we.
Is that what you wanna do, Rebecca, is move forward tonight?
It's up to you.
Because if something
Yeah.
happens between now and September 1st, I'm a Girl Scout, I wanna be prepared.
Gotta be prepared.
Alright, so let me see if I can say this name right. Let's, appoint Rebecca
Prosachik.
Prosachik as our, town attorney.
I'll second that.
Curcio,
Aye.
Glasser,
Aye.
Serena,
Aye.
Wilbur,
Aye.
Barnum.
Aye. Okay, we have an invite to pass along from the fire department. New Haven Fire Auxiliary and Fire Corporation invite you to remember those that gave their lives on September 11th to ensure our freedom. This is Monday, September 11th at 7 p.m. memorial service and refreshments to follow. I'll also add that it is the 75th anniversary of our fire company, which is kind of a big deal. 75 years is a long time, and they do an amazing job, so.
Yeah, right now, okay, the town of New Haven is the main responders, okay, not only for New Haven, but also Mexico and Scriba and Palermo sometimes, so.
They got a lot of retirees that are still really, really active and respond to overwhelming number of calls, which is kind of an amazing thing.
I think
Yeah,
they're having some kind of open house on August
They-
26th, maybe.
They are, your brother Ken was telling me the other day that I think the new truck, he thinks the new truck is gonna be there by then, which they're gonna have that on display, plus the old 56, which will be kind of a neat thing. I think they're gonna be doing some stuff for kids too,
Right.
what he was saying, not sure what, but,
Should
it'll
be on
kind
the
of-
board, like it'll be on the board outside the fire station.
Right,
The
right.
information that they have.
So that's, they wanted us to extend that invite to everyone that wants to be there that night, it'll be kind of a special night.
Do you have a time on that invite?
7 p.m.
Yeah, 7. I'm sorry, didn't I say that? I thought I said.
You said the date, just not the time.
We got a flyer right here, I'll leave it here for you.
Posted on the website.
Yeah, Jen, you'll post it on the board outside too, right?
Yeah, I posted on the website.
Okay.
I'm sure most everyone here remembers, okay, that date in 2001.
Yep,
Very
sure.
few people that don't know where they were, what they were doing, and a lot of us new people, okay, that were involved one way or another.
Okay, the reports, does anybody have anything on the reports? Okay, at this time, if there's no other business, we need a motion to enter into executive session to discuss, a land acquisition.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Oh, wait, I got ahead of myself, I forgot, there was one thing I wanted to add. In our audit, it was mentioned that we should have a whistleblower policy. That was like the only thing, that and a couple small issues with the court.
So I drafted one, since Becca's Rebecca's gonna be taking over, I've sent it to her so that she can,
Okay,
so we're working on it, so it'll be ready for the next, meeting.
I have a tentative on the agenda for next month.
Yeah.
I know some of the language in our, like you and I talked a while back about this, I brought it up like last year, I think, or maybe early this year. Some of the language in our harassment discrimination policy kind of covers it, but I guess it's not enough, right?
Apparently it's not.
We thought it was, but I guess.
I mean, the auditor doesn't think it's enough, so,
Right,
yeah, it's an additional protection.
do we need a different auditor? We'll put together a
I mean,
whistleblower
it's not a big deal, one's been put together, and it'll be ready for the next meeting.
Okay, perfect.
And we'll see it ahead of time?
Absolutely.
Okay, getting back to the,
Packet, but-
yeah, motion to go into, executive session to discuss the
We got a motion in a second. I just-
Yep. roll.
Frischel,
Aye.
Crosser, Sabrina,
Aye.
Wilbur,
Aye.
Barney.
Aye. Thanks, Ian.
Yeah,
Thanks,
absolutely.
Ian.
Pleasure. Yeah, pleasure. See you
Thank
around.
you.
Yep.